people's house. Big Zeus, every people's house. Big Zeus. Pull up to the gate, 1600 on the map. Supposed to be the people's house, I make it like a trap. Marble floors and chandeliers, I'm balling through the wall. Power to the people, yeah, I gotta make that call. Trapping for the team, red and white and blue, that's me. Voices on the block, I'm breaking through, I got the keys. I'm in the lobby, yeah, I'm moving like an OG. Posted in the Oval Office in the executive suite. Signing for the fam, yeah, you know my game strong. Freedom is the banner and I got my chains on. Secret Service watching snipers sitting on the roof.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
I bury you inside the booth. Founding father vision, yeah, I'm flexing with this cash. Big pharma, big tech, turn these dreams to bag. I'm the voice of the hood trying to come and storm the gates. Ballots in my hand, but the system's overweight. It painted white, yeah, but the stains running deep. Promise they selling it, but you know it ain't coming cheap. Legends walk these real, Lincoln MLK. Now it's photo ops, power plays all day. I'm trapping for the vote. Yeah, Big Zeus, it's the people's house. Big Zeus, powers in the air. Big Zeus, we knocking on the door. Big Zeus,
good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
We wanna hear your soul. Yeah, yeah. Who you think they asking for? They asking for that smoke. People want them players, yeah, y'all think this is a joke. Take it back and write the code. 1600, got your soul. Put my portrait on the wall. They staring at me like I'm cold. Greatest story ever told. I will never ever fold. I'm trapping out the West Wing, doing deals all in the dark. Make your dreams come true. All I need is a spark. Red phone ringing, but you don't know who is on my line.
Got the Constitution jumping, yeah, you know I'm so divine.
Stains on my kicks and the rally outside, and the gates is locked. This power never divides. Sitting for the block, dead buses make them wanna fight. 1600, do it all day, all night. The people's house is a trap. Got the power, get it back. Money talk loud, time to clap. Fight for the keys, that's a fact. It's a rap, I'ma bring it back. In the people's house, powers in the air. It's the people's house.
Get this show rocking and rolling, baby.
It's the people's house.
We wanna hear your soul. Alright, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get this show started. We don't got all day to do the Lord's work, alright? You know what that means.
Feel like I'm stuck in a cycle. It's like I'm stuck in time.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning.
It's like a curse, and I can't escape it.
It really is, ladies and gentlemen. It really is like a curse. Alright, welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go.
It's deja vu when I'm running up the racks. I'm like the Terminator screaming.
I'll be back.
It's deja vu when I'm out here flying first class. It's like every week I gotta take out the trash.
I'm on top of my game, ahead of the class. You can tell that I made it, look at my grass. I see you attacking, let's go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's welcome to the show.
I play the game so ball, I won't finish last.
Sitting in my living room screaming how we made it. This is how it's supposed to happen when you're rich and famous. The algorithm turned me to a maniac. Let's go. Guess we going viral cause my zodiac.
Got all these numbers on my spreadsheet. sheet.
Benjamin Franklin is my bestie. Right, Evan? They don't get replies if they text me. I say it with my chest, but I mean it. Let's go. I see your W, Rick. Let's go. Call me the master with a new whip. I'ma take off. And here we go.
I'll tell you what, I haven't gone
Here
to
goes.
Zeus's live in a couple of days.
Yes.
It was radical.
Very radical.
It was horrible. I'm like, Zeus has gone way off the rails.
Oh.
It's like deja vu. It's like deja vu.
It hurts.
It's like deja vu. It's like deja vu.
All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. Once again, we are back in the Thunderdome. I am your host, I'm your pilot, and you know exactly why we are once again gathered here. We have to do the great work of saving this great country of ours by getting the truth out there. making sure everyone understands how important it is to get out there honestly and register to vote. I got to start telling people you got to register to vote. And also holding Donald J. Trump and his legion of MAGA demons, who we all know are hell-bent on destroying this great country of ours, accountable for their dirty, disgusting, filthy deeds as well as their crimes, right? And so before we get into that, you know what we got to do? We got to take care of some very important housekeeping items. For those of you who don't know who I am, I go by the name Zeus, or as some like to say, Triple H. And why do they call me Triple H? All right, what I did just there, someone said in Black's music. All right, what I did is I just gave you a quick follow. All right, we can talk about the music right after the show. Just send me a DM. All right. Yeah, I go by the name Triple H. And why do they call me Triple H? Well, it's quite simple. The first H is, well, it's because it's because I'm honest. I'm the most honest person on social media. The second H, it's well because I'm humble. Listen, if I get it wrong, I honestly will be the first to apologize. But here's the thing, and what do I always say? Just because your feelings are hurt, does that mean Big Zeus owes you an apology? If your feelings get hurt because I said something, like yesterday I was talking to that guy from Texas, and I'm not educated, Zeus, and I drive a truck for a living, and I take care of myself and the wife and the kid, and it's not enough money. And I said, you know what, you're not qualified to have this conversation with Big Zeus. And I know that hurt his feelings, but I don't owe you an apology, all right? Most likely it means, sir, you need to continue to sit your special behind down and listen to this special broadcast, because you just might learn something. A lot of us have been through the same stuff you're going through, and what we're trying to do is get you to wake up and get out of the cult you found yourselves in, because let's just be honest, if you were smart and intelligent, you wouldn't be in a cult. W, Zeus, I just thought of that. W, if you were smart and intelligent, you wouldn't even be in a cult. All right, and then the last and the final H, ladies and gentlemen, is because you've guessed it, I am and will always remain what? The most handsome! Now, many of you know exactly what we do over here on this side of TikTok. What we do is very special. It's very spectacular. It's very magical. It's theatrical. It's symbolic in a way, right? But what we do is we unite amongst a lot of different people. This is a very diverse community. DEI is 100% welcomed over here, all right? Because we understand that it's not just saying the words DEI or the letters DEI, but it's actually the work that goes into it. And what I've been learning through this interaction that I've been having with all you lovely people on the internet is a lot of the Trump supporters, they hate Big Zeus. They hate me, not because of what I am really saying. They hate because of what I represent and what you all represent. How people from different walks of life, ladies and gentlemen, can actually come together on a show like this. Visibility restricted. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. I haven't even gotten started. What on earth? What is this? What is this? All right, let's see if we can continue to go. All right, I'll see if this will allow me to keep going, because if not, you know what we'll do. We'll go to the backup account. That's why. Yeah, I really, and I know this is not unique to me, and that's why I don't take it as personal. I think it just happens by virtue of, you know, when you become a larger content creator, they just do things to your account. I never had this happen like this at this level until you start getting, you know, more engagement and things like that. So I don't know what it is, but we'll look at it, and if I just submitted an appeal. If it doesn't go through, then you know what I'll do. I'll restart the live, but I'll continue at least with my intro real quick. Yeah, so this community that we've been, you know, creating, it's brought together a lot of different people from different backgrounds. You know, we accept people for who they are, and sometimes we do have real tough conversations. Like yesterday, you know, my good friend Q Dog came up here and he just laid it down for DJ, because DJ and people like DJ, they don't have the knowledge and the experience to really see life the way it really is for a lot of us. And so shows like this are very important, all right? And so I just wanted to say we're going to keep up the great work, because what it's doing, if you haven't been paying attention, what shows like this are doing, it's bringing Donald Trump's poll numbers. Yeah, it's bringing him back to reality, all right? Because what happened last November, I get it. Perhaps, you know, the Democrats, they went way too left and got a little out of touch, all right? I didn't go that far, but I understand that that's because, you know, they say the squeaky wheel gets the oil. So what ended up happening, if I could give you an honest assessment, they only heard from the loudest voices in the party, right? And you know, the Democrat Party, it's a wide tent. You got a lot of great people in this party. Even people who used to be MAGA are now joining. You should hear about these stories that I've ran into. I used to be a Trump supporter, but now I'm going to go vote Democrat. You don't really hear from those. And so the mistake a lot of people made, I believe, they assume that, you know, the loudest voices in the party reflected the values of everyone else. And I gotta say, and I might get into trouble, but that's not true. All right, it's not true. So that's another W, Zeus. And what we see right now with Donald Trump once again getting caught trying to cheat right now, you know, what's going on in the great state of Texas. And it's still a great state. It's just ran by some terrible people who all are they're just power hungry people, and they don't want to play by the rules. And so they cheat. They're a bunch of cheaters. I've never seen people cheat so much in my life. You know, when I was growing up, they used to say, you know, if you want to be the best, you got to work hard. You got to practice. You got to really be great at what you do. Nowadays, if you're a conservative, if you're MAGA, you don't got to do all of that. They hand you a participation trophy as long as you smell Donald Trump's dirty, disgusting diaper, and we don't want to do that. All right, so that's another W. Zeus. We don't want that. We don't. So before I go any further, because like I said, they've already started the thing. You know, they're reporting my live. I'll just say this: do we have anyone out there that supports Donald Trump still? Anyone pro P3DO out there in the chat? Any pro P3DOs out there? Let me just double check. Anybody out there still supporting Donald Trump? Identify yourselves. Because, and I was in a live yesterday, Scott, he's starting to learn how to run his platform. He's on the right, you know, but when I go in there and all of you follow me in there, they, for the most part, are starting to kind of dial it back. No blocking. Don't block them if they come in to see Zeus. I don't care what they're doing. Just let Big Zeus do what he does, cooking and booking, right? And so what we're seeing right now, ladies and gentlemen, is the Trump supporters, they know the jig is up, and they're trying to look for someplace safe to deal with, you know, what's happened, right? And it's not going to work unless they fully turn away from Donald J. Trump, all right? And that means you got to stop lying. You have to stop mentioning Joe Biden's name. You have to stop bringing up Barack Obama. You have to stop bringing up the Democrats when we're asking you very, very clear questions, all right? For instance, and the question MAGA knows that they'll never be able to escape anyone in the world is if you ask them, has Donald Trump released those Epstein files, right? And that's what I'm not going to let go. I'm not going to let go of Donald Trump not releasing the Epstein files, like I'm not going to let go of Donald Trump being responsible for what happened on January 6th, all right? Those are just non-negotiables. And so listen up. If I have any Trump supporters out there this morning, and you are easily triggered, all right, you're snowflakes, right? And every Trump supporter is a snowflake by far. You mention Epstein files, they lose it. You mention January 6th, they lose it. I mean, it's like, oh, I thought you were alphas. No, you're not alphas. You're betas. All right. And I don't take advice, right, Q-Dog? We don't take advice from beta males on how to be alphas. And so with that being said, and I know they're here, Silent John, Snuggles, and all the other crybabies, these fake TikTok hosts. Do me a favor, leave this live, and y'all go do whatever y'all do best. Play in the dirt, roll in the mud, smell Donald Trump's diapers, or kiss his dirty ankles, all right? But get away from what I'm doing, all right? Because I'm doing the real work, all right? And I promise you, I'm going to hurt your feelings this morning. I always do, all right? And so if you don't want me to hurt your feelings this morning, MAGA, leave right now. Because like I said, it's going to get very, very uncomfortable in here. I promise you it will. But get this, you don't got to take my word for it. Listen to your leader.
If you're not happy here, then you can leave. As far as I'm concerned, if you hate our country, if you're not happy here, you can leave. If you're not happy in the U.S., if you're complaining all the time, very simply, you can leave. You can leave right now. Come back if you want. Don't come back. It's okay too. But if you're not happy, you can leave.
All right. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, the doors to the Thunderdome have officially closed, and I take no responsibility for where the sparks start flying. All right. So that's another W, Zeus. Good morning, Val. So where do we want to pick up with, ladies and gentlemen? Where do I want to start out with? Well, you know what I decided, we got to do. Let's just go ahead and get my good friend Lawrence O'Donnell to kick us off this morning, ladies and gentlemen, because this is just a sad day in America.
Well, the long Labor Day weekend that we are all looking forward to.
I just want to get this out of the way.
Fast enough for Donald Trump. And so today, he took the day off. Donald Trump did nothing today.
This is yesterday.
Wasn't publicly seen anywhere today. Perhaps because his 79-year-old swollen ankles are bothering him, or maybe he just couldn't really walk or stand up very long today, something like that. Who knows? We don't know. Maybe he couldn't speak coherently today. Maybe it was one of those days. Actually, we do know about that. Donald Trump has never had a single day in his life as a politician when he could speak coherently about anything.
What are those?
That is a cognitive test that Donald Trump began publicly failing 14 years ago at age 65 in 2011 when he started lying about President Obama's birth certificate. The only thing on Donald Trump's public schedule today, which is to say the schedule that was made public, was a 4 p.m. thing in the Oval Office. So Donald Trump's workday was officially scheduled to begin at 4 p.m. today. And it was scheduled to last for only a few minutes.
Yeah.
Because the event on Donald Trump's schedule at 4 p.m. today was the swearing in of the Trump ambassador to the European Union, who is, of course, an unqualified rich guy who used to run fast food chains.
Go ahead, Lawrence.
At 4 p.m.,
What'd they do?
a 4 p.m. start to the workday is something you might schedule for a 79-year-old still recovering from jet lag after crossing 4 time zones back and forth to Alaska on Friday after Donald Trump spent the week last week saying publicly that he thought he was going to Russia. At 6:32 p.m. today, the White House released this
This the photo.
proof of life photograph.
Hiding his ankles. He's hiding.
Appears to be Donald Trump standing deep in the background there, doing absolutely nothing, while Secretary of State Marco Rubio swears in the new ambassador.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen. And so, as you can see, we're seeing Donald Trump literally falling apart in front of our faces, all right?
And so we have no evidence today that Donald Trump was even capable of speaking. The Vice President of the United States got a speaking role today in the Trump presidency, but he had to share his speaking role with a member of the cabinet, which is not so unusual. There have been some events in the past where a vice president speaks and the Secretary of Defense speaks, with the vice president, of course, getting to speak the longest. But in their opening remarks today, the vice president and the Secretary of Defense had to share microphone time with someone with a job title who has never been given a speaking role in any previous presidency, a deputy White House chief of staff.
This is sad.
In the history of that job title, no deputy White House chief of staff has ever had a speaking role at a public event where the vice president was speaking. But today, Donald Trump humiliated his vice president by pulling the puppet strings and making sure that his deputy White House chief of staff, Stephen Miller, spoke longer than the vice president did in their opening remarks when they all made a clownish visit to Union Station in Washington, D.C., the iconic Amtrak railroad station through whose glass doors Jimmy Stewart first saw the Capitol Dome when he arrived in Washington in Frank Capra's classic film, Mr. Smith Goes to
I'm almost there, ladies and gentlemen. I'm almost
there were no soldiers in the shot when Jimmy Stewart's character, the newly appointed Senator Jefferson Smith, arrived at Union Station. And there have never been troops at Union Station in the decades of both the 20th and 21st century that I've been arriving at and departing from Union Station in Washington, D.C. I've never once seen a crime committed there. I've never once felt even slightly at risk there. I don't know anyone who has. Before jet travel, most United States senators arrived in Washington at Union Station and departed from Washington at Union Station.
So there's no crime in D.C. There's no need for the National Guard.
From the 20th century into the 21st century, passed through Union Station to and from work every Senate workday of his 36-year career as a senator. Senator Joe Biden was in a position to have security at Union Station strengthened if he thought it was necessary. For 36 years, Senator Joe Biden walked through Union Station alone to and from the Amtrak train.
So thank you, Lawrence O'Donnell. That's good. So what we have is Lawrence O'Donnell once again making a very, very compelling case that something is truly wrong with Donald Trump. Because when you look at these ankles, that's the real crime, right? This is the real crime. Where is the National Guard at when it comes to addressing Donald Trump's ankles? Because you really, MAGA, you can't really sit back and act like this isn't the biggest threat to our national security ever. And again, I know there's a Trump supporter, possibly Gregory Jones. He's looking at those ankles and probably saying those are the thickest, most sexiest ankles I've ever seen in my life, and I would do anything to put my lips on those ankles. And he's saying the words every other Trump supporter continues to say. I never thought it would be it would be as bad as it is now. Not only do we all know he passes gas, they say he passed gas all the time in the courtroom and stuff like that. You go around him, and there's videos actually showing that when these European leaders met with Donald Trump recently, the odor was just so disgusting, right? But his Trump supporters, they love to, I want to smell that diaper, I want to kiss it, and now they want to kiss his ankles. And so since we got a waste of taxpayers' money going on in this country, wasting American dollars by sending the National Guard to D.C., where there's really no issues with crime, and they're ignoring the biggest crime in American history. What's that, Zeus? Donald Trump's ankles. Yeah. Seriously, this shows us that MAGA doesn't care about being manipulated and lied. And so, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, we have no other choice but to do what? Let's go ahead and warm up the lake of fire. First round of the lake of fire goes to Gregory in the comment section. Gregory, you could keep saying what I'm talking about and what all the information I'm sharing with you is an opinion, bro. But here's the thing. You and I see these ankles, and you know that's where the real crime is. Ladies and gentlemen, let's send them straight to hell.
Silence, you MAGA demon.
Now, the next issue that I wanted to bring up is this thing Donald Trump did on his platform, Lie Central. He's now trying to, once again, increase the crime rate by demanding people who have been convicted and sentenced be released. And he's doing this in the beautiful state of Colorado. And this is the same guy that put the people who, these are not people anymore. I call them creatures, the creatures who assaulted our democracy on January 6th. You know who these people are. He turned around and released these thugs onto the streets of America, and he says, "Oh, I need to bring in the National Guard now to combat the crime." Okay, so you're going to release the criminals onto the streets, and then you're going to bring the National Guard in to go after these criminals. Hypothetically, isn't that a waste of money? Isn't that just a good example of waste, fraud, and abuse? And this is something Elon should have caught. He should have caught this when he was in there doing the Doge stuff. But this is the stuff, you look at it and you go, why hasn't MAGA actually said anything? And so before I read what Donald Trump said, I want to make sure we get this on the record about the crimes of Tina Peters, all right? And then we'll get to judgment, all right? And so this is some old news, but we're bringing it forward like it's new news so that you understand why Donald Trump definitely does not deserve to be the president of the United States, not when he's releasing criminals like this.
Consequences.
Hold on.
Elections have consequences, and so does breaking the law in search of election rigging. Tina Peters sentenced today to 9 years in her election tampering case.
Okay.
Colorado's best-known election denier, the former Mesa County clerk, was defiant till the end, arguing with the judge at sentencing and bringing in a parade of fellow election conspiracy theorists to defend her. Our Mark Salinger was in court in Grand Junction where Peters laughed at prosecutors, lectured the judge, then was led away in handcuffs.
Yeah, Kyle, I want to tell you a little bit about Tina Peters' day. This is the Mesa County Justice Center right here, where earlier today Tina Peters stood in front of the judge for 40 minutes pleading for him to give her probation, to give her a lenient sentence. So how did that go? Just down the street right here across the parking lot is the Mesa County Sheriff's Office detention facility where she is spending tonight and likely many more nights to come. Tina Peters is a hero to the people who believe her lies.
Here she is.
But inside this courthouse, those same lies made her a felon.
You are a charlatan, and you cannot help
the
but
judge
lie
talking
as
to
easy
her.
it is for you to breathe.
A reckoning happened today in Judge Matthew Barrett's courtroom.
He's talking to
For
her.
nearly 30 minutes, speaking directly to Peters,
Look at her.
he made it clear that words have
Look at her
consequences,
now.
and lies lead to prison sentences.
Prison is for those folks where we send people who are a danger to all of us, whether it be by the pen or the sword or the word of the mouth.
That's right.
Prison is where folks go, where punishment is what we're focused on.
Right.
Because the crime committed is so significant that anything less would unduly mitigate the seriousness of the same.
Peters granted conspiracy theorists illegal access to voting systems in her county as she searched for proof of voter fraud. Even to this day, after finding no proof of fraud, she maintains the election was stolen from Donald Trump and told the court she did nothing wrong.
Good. Well, so you know what I'm saying is true. All right, let me move on. It's not funny. My life is on the line here, Your Honor.
No, you're the one who's making this allegation that one,
it's not an allegation.
Two, that I know it's true. You're saying that as if I believe you, and I did not say that. That is why I made the sound.
Yeah.
Because it's insulting to me for you to just put that in a record in front of all of these people that I believe something to be true.
Okay.
She pleaded for mercy, for probation.
I don't deserve to be in prison. I can do a lot more good. Out helping people.
But inside this courtroom, Tina Peters is no hero.
Right.
For the next 9 years, she'll be an inmate.
Your reputation at this point is poor because of what you've done here and after. Your lies are well documented. And these convictions are serious. I'm convinced you would do it all over again if you could. You're as defiant as a defendant as this court has ever seen.
So this is Tina Peters, a certified election rigger. All right, she's an election rigger, and in addition to what Donald Trump has been doing to try to, gerrymander and all this stuff, it's like, wow, he's trying to unleash all of his tools that he has in his tool shed to rig the election. And what are those tools? You see the gerrymandering going on in Texas. You see him releasing the 1,600 plus criminals that attacked the Capitol you see what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen. He's putting his army out there, and now he's going to go back and get this election rigger and have her, I want you to come on in here and do the same thing you did in Colorado. Give them access to those voting machines so that, we can, make sure Donald Trump wins during the midterms. And so this is what Donald Trump posted this morning, ladies and gentlemen. And I said, this is just proof that, once again, we're dealing with somebody who's clearly, he knows, just like everyone else knows, that his time is cooked. Let me see if I can get this going. Oh my goodness. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this. There you go. I want to read what he says. Okay. Oh yeah. This is what he says. Free Tina Peters, a brave and innocent patriot who has been tortured by crooked Colorado politicians, including the big mail-in ballot supporting the governor of the state. Let Tina Peters out of jail right now. And he put right now in all caps. She did nothing wrong except catching the Democrats cheat in an election. She's an old woman and very sick. Now that part is true. Very sick. All right. That's true. If she is not released, I am going to take harsh measures. Does anyone think the President of the United States should continue this thing he's doing, going around freeing dangerous people and releasing them onto the streets of America to continue terrorizing Americans? Does anybody think that is acceptable for Donald Trump to keep punishing everyday Americans by placing his thugs, his election rigging felons? This is 9 years. She's a felon. No. So MAGA, where's the outrage, MAGA? Where's the outrage, MAGA? And I know you'll sit up here and DJ and all of you'll sit up here and try to make an excuse for this. But everyone in the world sees it. This is another example of Donald Trump demonstrating to each and every single one of you that number one, he doesn't care about the rule of law. He doesn't care about the Constitution. He doesn't even care about you. You know what you're going to continue to do? You're going to continue to get out here and make excuses for him and send him your money. So guess what I'm going to do? Let's go ahead and warm up the lake of fire, ladies and gentlemen. Especially you, Tiny Tank Top Tim Tom. You're the worst of the worst. You're the scum of the earth. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and send Donald Trump, Tina Peters, as well as all of his supporters that are still supporting this nonsense where they belong, straight to hell.
Silence, you MAGA
when you see this kind of stuff going on, you have to ask yourself, what's going on? I'll give you another example, MAGA, of your hypocrisy. You know, there's this Eric Erickson dude. I've never heard of this guy in my life, okay? But apparently he's actually out here complaining about Donald Trump perhaps being a socialist. Get this, and we're going to get this on the record, all right? He says, the U.S. government will become the largest shareholder of Intel. This is actual socialism happening by a Republican administration, and this is your people, MAGA. And I get, like I said, the truth keeps coming out in random places, and this is all proof positive that Donald Trump knows that his days, honestly, they are numbered. And this is why you hear Donald Trump saying stuff like this.
I want to try and get to heaven if possible. I'm hearing I'm not doing well.
You're not. He's not getting to heaven, and he's not doing well, but we'll get this on the record. A Republican, Eric Erickson, pointing out to Donald Trump and his supporters that Donald Trump is basically a socialist.
The U.S. government would become the largest shareholder of Intel. This is actual socialism happening by a Republican administration. This is a horrible precedent. This is socialism. All of you people were freaked out about Mamdani in New York City wanting government-run grocery stores and saying the people need to seize the means of production. That's what Harold Lutnick is doing right now, saying that the government must seize the controlling interest in Intel, the means of production, in order to get government money. You can't just be against socialism when the left does it.
Thank you. And so when he tells the truth, I'll give you a W for that, but it's really a W, Zeus. So MAGA, what do you have to say about that? We caught your dear leader being like what he says we are, the Democrats, right? It's really him. And this is why I keep telling every single Trump supporter, this really isn't about politics anymore. As much as we can argue about policy and stuff like this, isn't really about politics. It's really about you. Yeah, it's really about you. All of you Trump supporters, you continue to make excuse after excuse and lie in our faces and pretend like you aren't what Donald Trump says we are. You're actually a lot worse, because at least we know what we are. You don't. So guess what I'm going to do, ladies and gentlemen? Let's go ahead and send these Trump supporters straight to hell. Easy. Get them out of here.
Silence, you MAGA.
Did you hear the news, ladies and gentlemen? Donald Trump, I guess he started to back off on some of these tariffs with the EU, and we'll get this on the record. And this just shows you how weak Donald Trump is. I know I'm going fast, but we'll do it.
Morning that the U.S. is backing off of
Hold on.
We're going to turn back to the economy now with some breaking news this morning that the U.S. is backing off of massive tariff rate hikes on the European Union.
Well, all that comes amid new earnings reports this week that come from some of the country's biggest retailers.
All right, for more on what all this means to your wallet, who better than our own business and data correspondent, Brian Chung?
Right here.
Yeah, indeed. This makes it convenient. We're getting a lot of bang for our buck this morning from you. So let's start with the trade deal with the EU. What do we know about the new agreement?
Yeah, well, we had heard that there were these concessions that were made between the United States and the European Union on a deal, but we're now formalizing some of those details, and we're hearing from the White House as of just the last few hours that these specific sectors that we've been really focusing on, pharmaceuticals, lumber, semiconductors, they were facing the threat of these 250, 100% tariffs that the president was saying he might lob on not just the European Union, but any country around the world on
and
those
what did he
specific
do?
products. But now what he's saying is that because the EU agreed with the US, they're going to cap those rates at 15%. So that's a major concession for the EU. But one thing that wasn't included in these concessions, wine and spirits.
Yes, right.
So those could still be rates higher than 15%, which we'll have to watch for.
Okay, so basically, the 250% number that he's been running around here and bragging to his supporters that he's doing. Look at this, MAGA. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. It was the trade deal that he actually said he got. Now we're finding out he's backtracking. So MAGA, honestly, what has Donald Trump done since he's became president? Besides pass the most disgusting bill ever and do things like weaponize the federal government against everyday Americans, right? We already got example after example of the mass deportations. He's actually going after Americans. All right. He built Alligator Alcatraz. Okay. How many of you Trump supporters are enjoying Alligator Alcatraz? How many of you are enjoying, I get it. I know what it is. It just came to me. You Trump supporters are happy that he moved Ghislaine Maxwell to club fed out in Texas. Now Texas gets to have her. Is that what it is, MAGA? Okay, so this is just another example of MAGA and their priorities, right? Because honestly, what has Donald Trump done, MAGA, since he's gotten into the White House that you can actually hang your hat on? Everything is a disaster. Other than him bringing Ghislaine Maxwell to Texas. And I know, I feel bad for the state of Texas because I know there's a lot of great people, Val Shea and all of you. But yeah, that's probably one of the things he's actually accomplished, moving the worst prisoner ever to a nicer prison, and not done anything for the American people. So guess what we're going to do? Let's go ahead and warm up that lake of fire. Yeah, nothing positive. Yeah, so MAGA, look at this. No trade deals. No golden age. No ceasefires. But he moved Jeffrey Epstein's girlfriend to a club fed in Texas. All right, congratulations, MAGA. Once again, you played yourself. Now go to hell.
Silence, you MAGA daily.
Let's talk about some of Donald Trump's poll numbers, so to speak. And this has to do with mail-in ballots. And this is a good number because I want MAGA to understand that the only way Donald Trump will win midterms is if he cheats. I'm going to be honest with you. And we all have our eyes and ears and all of 5 senses, maybe even 6 for some people. But we're laser focused on Donald Trump. And what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that does not happen under no certain circumstances. And the poll numbers are already painting a very, very dark picture for MAGA. All right.
Passing an executive order aimed at banning mail-in ballots. It's not clear when that will happen, and yes, it will likely face legal challenges if and when he does. But the president said that the topic came up actually during his Friday meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin.
Vladimir Putin, smart guy, said you can't have an honest election with mail-in voting, and he said there's not a country in the world that uses it now. Mail-in ballots are corrupt. Mail-in ballots, you can never have a real democracy with mail-in ballots. And we, as a Republican Party, are going to do everything possible that we get rid of mail-in ballots.
So, where do we go with this? When I hear him talking like this, it makes me go, okay, let's get back to business, ladies and gentlemen. When you hear him talking it makes me go, okay, let's get back to business, ladies and gentlemen. When you hear him talking like this, you have to keep this in mind. You got to keep these ankles in mind. The man saying this stuff, this is what his ankles look like. This is the guy that made it real clear who he's getting his orders from. You mean to tell me all these genius, I'm not going to put that in quotes, all these genius ideas that he's been blabbing on television, they come from Vladimir Putin. Think about that, MAGA, and especially Blaga. Because I realize I haven't said this, but I'm going to say this to Blaga. 99.99% of you, and I'm going to leave that extra little 0.01% out there because I don't want to be 100%, but I want to be pretty much at 100, are in a Russian misinformation, disinformation bubble. You are. And you don't even know it. What more information, what more evidence do you need to see and hear before you realize all of Donald Trump's talking points, he's doing it on the behalf of Russia? I'm starting to think, and I have to do some research into this. I really am now understanding the meeting in Alaska. It really was not about because number one, I don't even think it was the real Putin, and we can talk about that. But I really think Donald Trump invited Russia here to the United States just so that he could have Putin on U.S. soil say that lie that he has been saying, which is it would have never happened if he were president, right? Because that's what Putin said in his speech. I would have never done this and that if Trump was president. And then you see Tulsi Gabbard in the background cutting, employees at the DNI, and it's just starting to smell a lot like the KGB, right? Am I right, ladies and gentlemen? Is it starting to smell a lot like the KGB in DC? All all of a sudden, these are KGB ankles. These are KGB ankles, ladies and gentlemen. And so I want all of you Trump supporters to understand you are KGB assets and you are actually actively participating in the deep state cover up. And I don't even like to be a conspiracy theorist, but goodness gracious, if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, doggone it, we're going to say it's a duck. W. Zeus. He's going to use Russian intelligence. This is the angle I really truly believe Donald Trump is going to do. He's going to continue to promote this Russian propaganda to try to steal elections. And every time he gets jammed up, well, this is what Putin said. This is what Putin said. And you're going to find out something happened with someone like Tulsi Gabbard or someone else that got ties to the Russian government, like, Kash Patel. And you're going to just start seeing all of a sudden it's a lot of KGB going on around here, right? And then he's going to, continue to go around here and say things. And then, he's going to say, I am going to indict Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Kamala Harris. Well, what evidence do you have? And he's just going to roll out a bunch of KGB Russian intelligence information, and he's going to use that when he tries to go after and try to prosecute these people, because he knows United States intelligence isn't going to buy any of this stuff. So now that we know we have a Russian asset sitting in the White House, and we all already knew it, you could tell by the way he was riding in the back seat with Putin in the back of that car, that he was totally compromised. Let's go ahead and warm up this lake of fire, ladies and gentlemen. All right. And this is for all of you Trump supporters. Once again, I don't really need you to explain it. I understand that you're nothing but vassals of transgression, and may hell truly be your portion. Ladies and gentlemen, let's send these Trump supporters where they belong once again, straight to hell!
Silence, you MAGA daily.
W. Zeus, ladies and gentlemen. My last thing is this, and this comes from the Midas Touch. I always feel like sometimes, I got to plug them whenever I get a chance to. And this is just a reaction to where things stand in the real world, all right? Clearly, our allies are very, very upset with the way that America is actually dealing with this so-called ceasefire that Donald Trump claims to have negotiated. We'll let Ben take it off, take care of this.
Regime, and then world leaders are absolutely furious at Donald Trump and his dastardly regime, and they are now coming out in public and they are calling him out. They are calling out his weakness, and I think everybody's recognizing what an utter failure that meeting was, not just with Putin, which was just total humiliation for the United States, but the dog and pony show that was that meeting with the European leaders that Donald Trump exited so he can call Vladimir Putin on the phone and get instructions from Vladimir Putin about what to do. How embarrassing. Folks, there's no ceasefire, which Donald Trump promised he was going to do, or else there would be serious ramifications against Russia. So that didn't happen. There's no trilateral meeting between Russia, Zelensky, and Donald Trump. Putin never wanted that to take place, and there are no security guarantees that Russia is okay with in Ukraine. That was always BS, and we've always been calling it out, despite our own propaganda media in America saying, oh, Donald Trump got security guarantees from Putin. No, he didn't. What Donald Trump got from Putin was basically Putin dominating Donald Trump rolling out the red carpet for Putin. It was so utterly disgusting, literally with our own soldiers on their knees. So here's what French President Emmanuel Macron just had to say. And he goes, basically, he calls Donald Trump an idiot. Here, watch this.
Several of us told him you were speaking to President Putin. He was bombing Ukraine. So this, of course, shows the necessity to stop the massacres, the necessity for a truce, and it also shows at some point the facts reveal the intentions. That's all. Today, Russia, in fact, continues the war, intensifies it, wages war against Ukrainian civilians as well, and gives no signal of sincerely wanting peace.
None.
And the experience we have over the last 15 years with Mr. Putin, President Putin, and his approach is that every time he can win by war, when he thinks he can win by war, he does not negotiate peace. That's the reality.
And so, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, once again, we have more proof that Donald Trump isn't really doing anything besides wasting taxpayers' money, wasting taxpayers' time, throwing whatever he can at the wall to distract us from the most obvious thing out there, which is what? The Epstein files. Yeah. Isn't it amazing, ladies and gentlemen, that since we've demanded those files be released, we've done so many things. Well, not us, but Donald Trump. I mean, he hasn't done anything about those ankles, all right? I mean, I guess releasing the Epstein files is equal to him fixing those ankles, right? It'll never happen, right? I mean, I guess that's a good way to look at it, but he went to drop a boom boom on Iran. Didn't he do that? Oh, where did that come from? That was a play. You drew that play up all by yourself. You lied to us about it, right? You passed the nastiest bill. The ugliest bill, you passed that. I mean, you had so much energy for that. He even went to Texas, remember, and I really do feel for the victims of that terrible flood on July 4th. But he even went out there to try to distract us from him not releasing those files. And the most egregious act that he's done, honestly, I'm going to go ahead and say it, is you invited a war criminal who we all know traffics children, because that's what Putin does. He takes the children of Ukraine, puts them on a website. You could go look this up, and he's selling them. So Donald Trump knows that Putin is a war criminal and trafficking children. But just like he says about Epstein, he believes Putin is a terrific guy, and he got along with him very well. MAGA, open up your eyes and realize you're not the party of what do you call yourselves, patriots? You're not the patriots. You're not the party of what they call them, Christian values. Those are not Christ-like values. Those are demon values. Those are sin values. All right. You all are the party of pro-P3DO, and there's just nothing you can say to get around this. And so what I'll do is this, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and let's go ahead and warm up the lake of fire once again. And this is for the pro-P3DO party, aka MAGA, ladies and gentlemen. You know what happens. Let's go ahead and send them where they belong. I don't believe there's a such thing as a good Trump supporter anymore. I just think there's some Trump supporters out there that like to pretend very well. Ladies and gentlemen, let's send them straight to hell.
Silence, you MAGA.
Now, there's one more thing that I want to do, and I don't know how the audio will sound when I do this, but there was a nice video. This is definitely from the Midas Toucher. You got to go watch it. And it's somebody who was MAGA, and they explain why they were MAGA and then why they are no longer MAGA. I'm not going to get into why they are no longer MAGA. All right, but we're going to listen to his story about why he was in the cult, and then we'll go to talking to those of you in the audience, because unlike MAGA that we talk to on TikTok, they won't say this. I know they won't say this, but we all know this is what it is. Hold on, let me get this queued up. Okay, here it goes. This is, and tell me if he's telling the truth or not. Because if he's not telling the truth, you know what we'll do? We'll say you're just lying. But let's see if this hits home. Hold on.
Folks that fear in me that white people, while in prison, it was the height of the Black Lives Matters movement and Trump campaigning for president. And I remember thinking to myself that the white man is under attack in this country, that Trump kind of spoke to that